It's now time for Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. It began as a podcast, went live on the net, and transformed into a full-blown empire. It's the only daily boxing talk show on the planet, hosted by the only guy with the balls to do it. Many have stepped into the ring. Many have tried to take the belt. And one by one, they've fallen. Another victim of the undisputed heavyweight champion of Boxing Talk Radio. Talkin' Boxing with Billy C is on now.
My style is impetuous, my defense is impregnable, and I'm just ferocious. I want your heart.
Good morning, good day, good evening, whatever you're listening. I hope you're doing all right today. I certainly hope so. I want to give a special shout out to all of our viewers on Vander Holyfield TV, or actually I should just say Holyfield TV. We're glad to be part of the Holyfield Television Sports Network. Also, if you haven't downloaded our app, do it right now. Go to fight.tv. That's FITE.tv/Billy C. That's fight.tv/Billy C. Download our app today and get to watch and listen to our show on your handheld. It's that simple. Just go to fight.tv. Today's show is being brought to us in part by Sal's Neighborhood Pizzeria and Italian Restaurant located on beautiful St. Simons Island in Georgia. Visit the website, www.salsneighborhoodpizzeria.com, or give my man a call, 912-268-2328, 912-268-2328. Find out why I go all the way to St. Simons to get a slice of pizza, decent pizza anyway. 912-268-2328. And don't forget, if you're in the WGIG listening area in Brunswick, Georgia, if you haven't checked out Sal's, you're missing the party, man. Just visit him. He's right on Frederica. Just go to the website for the address, www.salsneighborhoodpizzeria.com. Today's show is being brought to us in part by Gawkbox. Hey, you want to save some money? You want to help us out? Hey, what's better than both of us? Two-way street. Check out Gawkbox. Set up an account today. Visit our website, billycboxing.com, and click on the Gawkbox section. Yeah, it's right there on the right-hand side. You can't miss it. It's below the gigantic Sal's Neighborhood Pizzeria banner that I think Sal cut a private deal with Jeremy C. So it's under that, all right? But anyway, today's show is also being brought to us in part by my book, Tom Molyneux From Bondage, The Baddest Man on the Planet, is available right now where all good books are sold, and you can get a copy right now by visiting barnesandnoble.com or amazon.com. Find out why we got a 5-star rating across the board. And if you want to get a signed copy, don't worry about it. Just visit our website, www.billycboxing.com, and click on the book, which you can't miss. It's all over the place. But anyway, today we got scheduled Alex Pierpaoli joining us a little bit later. We're going to do our blast from the past this week. Former world champion and boxing Hall of Famer Miguel Canto. We'll talk about him. Boxing Hall of Famer Larry Hazzard scheduled to join us here in about a half hour, and we'll get his thoughts on the fight that took place last week between Canelo Alvarez and Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Also, I'll ask Larry what his thoughts are, his early thoughts are on the mega fight that's scheduled now between Canelo and Triple G. And some other stuff. We'll see what happens. I got some news on the WBC. Speaking of the WBC, tomorrow we're supposed to be getting Mauricio Suleiman on the show to talk about some WBC stuff. So right now, I wanted to mention about the WBC and some updates they have. I also, my question of the day is, you know, the fight that we're all talking about, I mean, yeah, we want to see Triple G and Canelo for sure. But the fight that everyone seems to be talking to me about and asking me about finally a heavyweight fight that's worthy of discussion and anticipation is, of course, Anthony Joshua against Deontay Wilder. The big question today is it going to happen this year, or are we going to be basically played around with again and have to wait for that fight to take place sometime next year? A marination process, if you will. I think the sport needs the fight, and I think it needs it for this year. Joining me right now, he's a New Jersey Boxing Hall of Famer. He's a Guinness Book of World Record holder. He can throw down a couple of pizzas. My man, the myth, the legend himself, the one, the only, Sal Rocky Senecola. Good morning, Sal.
Good morning, Bill. How are you today?
Well, I'm not doing too bad. Got some stuff going on today, and first and foremost, do you think Deontay Wilder against the man that I think is the best heavyweight in the division, Anthony Joshua, will that fight happen in 2017, or are they going to jerk us around a bit and have it 2018?
I think they should do it by the end of the year. I think they should do it sometime before Thanksgiving. And I think this would be a signature great year of boxing that we could put in the history books as far as having a benchmark where the preceding year or years to follow that we'll hopefully try to copy. So, yeah, I think it should happen this year. It should. Is it going to? We'll see with the boxing regulating bodies get involved with mandatories and everything else. But, yeah, that should happen this year before November.
Well, I certainly hope so. Because I think the sport needs it, to be honest with you. Why not? I mean, sometimes in all sports you got to ride the waves, so to speak. Yes. And right now we're on a high, and it came from Anthony Joshua and Vladimir Klitschko. So why not continue that ride? And we got a guy in Deontay Wilder constantly pounding his chest. Telling us he's the best in the division. And, hey, it's time to put up or shut up, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we've got some momentum in that division right now. And, it'd be a perfect view to see. Now, I know was there a mandatory with Klitschko and Joshua to have a rematch?
Well, that good question. The contract stated that it was a 2-fight deal. It's up to Klitschko whether he wants to have a rematch or not. Now, my personal feeling on that, Sal, that's a good question, is in this particular case, he was knocked out. It wasn't a decision. I mean, yes, it was a close fight going into that 9th round, but what is he? The only way that I think that they should have a rematch is if Klitschko gets back on his bicycle and wins a significant fight, maybe against Deontay Wilder, maybe against Tyson Fury rematch, something like that. That would, that would get him back in the picture, so to speak. And one loss doesn't remove him from the picture totally, but the rematch, I think, has to come on the heels of a significant win for Klitschko. It would have been immediate if he would have beaten Anthony Joshua. What do you think?
True, I think so. But I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind seeing Klitschko face the winner of Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder. Well, that might be possible too. If he maybe has an interim fight, and maybe him taking on the winner of Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua.
Well, I mean, I totally agree with you. I mean, I just think that Klitschko would be in a good spot if he was a guy that fought, let's say, Deontay Wilder, and then the winner taking on Anthony Joshua. I mean, that's right. That's where I'm thinking. But, hey, it really, according to the contract, from what I understand, it's really in Klitschko's hands.
That's interesting. Well, like I said, any one of those scenarios, I'd be satisfied to see. But definitely priority one, I would love to see Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder do a mega heavyweight fight for the championship, right? The next couple of months towards the end of the year.
Well, speaking of which,
Speaking.
Deontay Wilder is the WBC World Heavyweight Champion, and the WBC just released their championships updates, they call it. And as far as the heavyweight championship, which we'll focus on today, is Deontay Wilder obviously is their champion. And what was supposed to happen was Alexander Povetkin and Bermane Stiverne was supposed to fight, and the winner was going to be the mandatory challenger for Deontay Wilder. And we all know what happened there. Povetkin tested positive for steroids again, and Stiverne went home. We cried all the way home, and that fight didn't take place. Povetkin did fight someone else, and Deontay Wilder took a voluntary defense and knocked out Gerald Washington, in February. So now there is an order from the WBC for Deontay Wilder to face Bermane Stiverne, and the purse offer was, I guess, already taken place. It was due the other day, last week. And, they have a split of 70-30, 70 going to the champion, of course, and 30% going to Stiverne. I have not heard of that fight being signed, sealed, and delivered, so I'm not sure. Now, the WBC is also putting their silver belt, which is their fancy way of saying it's an interim belt, between Derek Chisora and Robert Herlinis, which I find pretty interesting because neither one of those guys have really proven themselves in the heavyweight division, in my opinion. But I guess the winner of that fight becomes the next mandatory. So, the WBC seems to be stacking up opponents for Deontay Wilder to just stay away from Anthony Joshua. And this is something that I find extremely negative for the sport because I think that what we need is these unifications. At least, they created the super and diamond belts and stuff just so that they could have unifications. What's your thoughts?
Well, like I said, there's too many belts out there, and there should be one champion per division, and there should be one belt, and the coveted belt to fight for. That's what it should be. There's too many belts and too many sidesteps here. They got to get to the meat of the matter, not the mud of the matter. The fluff without the stuff. We want the stuff.
Well, the bottom line is for the heavyweight division, what we definitely need is we need Deontay Wilder to fight Anthony Joshua. So at least we can have a clearly defined world champion, at least in my mind. I think that's
that's right.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Just FYI, because the guy that's lurking in the back as far as the WBC is concerned is Tony Bellew. Tony Bellew was the WBC Cruiserweight World Champion, but then he got permission from the WBC to fight David Haye, which I don't know how David Haye got it. And the WBC immediately labeled Tony Bellew as champion of Muay Thai, meaning that they put up the belt for Marius Briedis against Marco Huck, which took place, and Briedis won that fight. So technically he's the champion. Unless Tony Bellew returns to the cruiserweight division, which would mean that he would have to fight Briedis, and then we'd have the real champion. If Bellew decides to stay in the heavyweight division, then Marius Briedis becomes the world champion. So that's the cruiserweight. Now Tony Bellew might be floating around to possibly fight David Haye. That fight might be approved by the WBC. I am not sure, again, what's going on with Stiverne. He hasn't fought in a while, so we'll have to wait and see on that, Sal. But a lot of in-place excuses for Deontay Wilder not to face Anthony Joshua. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you just said it right there. It's you put people will love to see this fight with Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder. Is it going to happen? Well, here's the whole mechanics of the way these world governing bodies work, and they're putting up the obstacles instead of the path of least resistance. Let's see the two biggest men in the division get it on and fight and see who's the better one.
Well, it seems like they don't want that to happen because maybe they don't get all of their sanctioning fees. I don't know.
Well,
I don't know. But anyway, hey, listen, we're going to take a short break. And, when we come back, speaking of the heavyweight division, the WBA has got their own. Now, remember, Anthony Joshua won the heavyweight super WBA title, or however they call it. Basically, he's their super champion by defeating Klitschko. That belt was vacant, even though I thought that belt was supposed to be originally held by a regular champion who unified a belt. So, it's very confusing. And this is all coming from the WBA, who claim that they will be eliminating these BS belts, which they definitely have not done yet. But the bottom line is I got an update on that, which is kind of ridiculous. But again, my question that I ask everybody is Deontay Wilder having the you-know-whats to step in the ring with Anthony Joshua. Should it happen now in 2017, or should we have to wait? That's the question. Hold that thought. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, I got some more heavyweight news. All of that is coming up in about 2.
Billy C will be right back.
Endless pools are an incredible alternative to traditional pools, making it easy and inexpensive to swim at home. Exercise year-round against a smooth current set to your desired pace and temperature. With our new underwater treadmill, you can walk dressing your joints. Endless pools are simple to install and even simpler to maintain. The water stays crystal clear with almost no chlorine. Call for your free idea kit and experience the freedom of swimming at home.
Snacking has never been this exciting. At Graze.com, we combine wholesome ingredients with the flavors we all love to create over 100 exciting snacks, like these. We'd love to send you a Graze sampler box for free. Just go to Graze.com, enter the code ENJOY36, and we'll mail your free box to your home or office. Join thousands of Grazers already in love with our exciting snacks. So come to Graze.com for your first box free.
If you or a loved one have had hernia repair surgery with mesh reinforcement and suffered infection, chronic pain, mesh migration, mesh failure, organ damage, or needed additional surgery, call the Rely On Group right now. You may be eligible to receive a cash award and compensation for your medical expenses. Your voice deserves to be heard. Call the Rely On Group to be connected with a personal injury attorney for a free consultation. Call 800-715-4869. It's 800-715-4869.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts. Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your... Now back to Billy C.
And we're back. You're listening to the Billy C Show. Glad to have you with us this morning. And speaking of having us with us, or having him with us, he's here. He's here right now, and that's my man Sal Rocky Senecola. And Sal, before we went to break, we were talking about the heavyweight division, specifically the WBC champion Deontay Wilder, and the fact that we all want him to fight Anthony Joshua, who we feel is the best heavyweight, or most of us feel that he's the best heavyweight in the division today. But there's another fight. There's another heavyweight fight that's going on, and that's between for a vacant title, and that's between Shannon Briggs and Frez Oquendo. Their press conference tour kicked off yesterday, and as usual, Shannon Briggs had a lot to say. He's a cartoon character, WWE character, if you will. And he said, I've heard things that he said about me, that it might be an easy fight, but he has no idea how motivated and focused I am right now. I just can't wait for the bell to ring so that people can look up and see me smash them. I'm coming out in the first round. I'm gunning for you. As soon as the bell rings, I'm coming to take your head off. I don't. If I don't get you in the first round, I'll get you in the second, all the way to the 12th. I got Lakajevic at 2 minutes and 59 seconds of the 12th round, and you might have to go that way too. He says. Fred Oquendo says, I've been in there with the best in the sport. This is a special fight for me. This is life and death for me. I've fought everywhere in the world. Sometimes I didn't get the decision, but I'm going to bring it every time. Typical. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. But here's the thing that I find extremely interesting, Sal.
Go ahead.
Fred Oquendo. He has fought for the world title before. He's a former world title challenger. His last fight actually was for a title against Ruslan Shagayev. His last fight was for the WBA regular heavyweight title against Ruslan Shagayev. That was in July of 2014. By the time he steps in the ring, it's going to be just about 3 years before he fought. How does a guy that hasn't fought in 3 years get a shot at a title? But no, wait, there's more, Sal.
Unbelievable. I'll tell you. You know what? Where's the money? I want a title shot. I'll tell you, it's unbelievable with the whole mechanics of how this thing works today. It's just not. It's not what I remember. And I'll tell you, it's the old Rip Van Winkle. I fell asleep, and man, look at where I woke up. It's a different world today, Bill. These guys, I can't believe they're fighting for a title. One's been idle for this many years. This one hasn't fought for another year. They're ranked, and they're going to be going to step up for a coveted belt. Well, is that belt coveted? I don't know. Unbelievable. Yeah, it sours me a little bit. Can you tell?
I mean, the truth of the matter is how does a belt? Who wants to fight for a belt that they're letting two guys fight that combined have been out of the sport for 4 years?
4 years.
I mean, it makes no sense. It makes no sense, and it's actually, to be honest with you, I think it's an embarrassing situation for them, to be 100% honest. But anyway, Sal, here's something else for you. Some more news.
I can't wait to jump on it.
There's a new promotional group, and they are setting a once again. I mean, every so often, and myself included, because I was involved with one. But every so often, for the last half a dozen years or so, there's been these tournaments that have come into focus and into play. And the last successful ones, I think, was the ESPN tournament. We had middleweight, junior middleweight, and heavyweight, I think. Lightweights, too, I think. But there was another company that has announced that they're going to be doing a World Boxing Super Series to feature cruiserweights and super middleweights. Basically, there's going to be several fights in each weight class, and they're going to battle it out in a bracket-style tournament, and blah, blah, blah. And they're going to start in September, and by the time it's over, May of next year, we'll be crowning the winners. And I love the idea. I always have. The prize fighter tournament over in England. I love it, right? But here's the thing. They're talking about, and this is where these types of things, I think, fall on just great ideas and fizzle out. And why they even get brought up in the press, I don't know. But they're looking at holding a special boxer selection process in a couple of days, according to the press release, May 15th. And they're going to be looking at WBA, WBC, WBO, and IBF champions, as well as top 15 contenders in those sanctioning bodies, as the draw, so to speak, the pool of fighters that'll be competing in this tournament. That's where the problem lies, Sal.
That's the problem.
Because these guys, I mean, if you're waiting online and you're a ranked contender, and we're just telling you that Stavern's got a shot at Wilder, and then there's two other guys waiting to fight, for the next guy in line, Robert Holinas and Derek Chisora, who neither one of them have been. I mean, Chisora's been busy, but he hasn't been busy winning. Holinas was out for a while. I mean, so you got that WBC stacked up. So there's four fighters out of the mix right off the bat. And then you have the WBA with Briggs and Oquendo. I mean, why would you fight in a tournament that may risk a gravy payout or a layup fight with these other sanctioning bodies? I mean, it's a great idea, but I think the sanctioning bodies squash it because, I mean, why would the fighter take the chance? What do you think?
No way. I wouldn't take a chance. No, you have a pathway if you're a contender. Hopefully you take the right fights and you make the purse amount that you're looking for, and you're also getting leverage into a title fight. That's what they're there for. And to potentially throw that away and go into a nationally televised or worldwide televised boxing tournament to be proclaimed another division or champion, I don't think it's not a smart move if you're a top contender vying for a world title at this stage. Now, I will tell you this: I think this would be a great springboard for a young talent developing. Maybe, I don't know if they could do it with people under 15 fights or something else, but for the talent out there that could be future world beaters, let's groom them, let's showcase them, and let's let them vie for a championship after they win this tournament, something like that.
I would love it.
I think that would be a great way to showcase all these underlings that we don't really hear too much about because they're doing these barn burner fights or they're this, but yet they might have talent and ability. They just don't have the connections or the notoriety at this time. Let this tournament be a breeding ground for them to elevate to the next level where they can be recognized, where they can be spotted. Then you hear about management contracts and everything else and all the garbage. But that's the end result. Let these guys be a proving ground to elevate up into a world-class light for boxing.
I agree. I mean, there's no question about that. I agree. But again, the way that they're coddled and protected, I mean, why would they risk it? It doesn't make sense the way everything is laid out today. So as great of an idea as it all is, the question of them actually doing it is a whole nother ballgame. I mean, listen, you got to do risk versus reward all the time, and if these guys are their choice is to, fight 8 cupcakes and win them all, or get into a real fight with somebody and risk losing, and then everybody thinking that you're not as good anymore, you can see why they don't do it.
That's true. It's true. The prize has to be worth the price, and why take a chance if you're on a fast track or if you're on a track to get into the contention for a title?
Let's get everybody caught up with some other sports scores before we take a break and kick Sal to the curb for a little while. In playoff basketball, the NBA playoffs, the Spurs beat the Rockets 110-107 to take a 3-2 lead in that series. So that one is going at least one more game. Over in the NHL, the Ottawa Senators beat the New York Rangers 4-2 to win that series with the same 4-2. So the Rangers have been eliminated, and the Ottawa Senators, well, they get to move on. Now over in Major League Baseball, the Rockies beat up on the Cubs in the first game 10-4. I'll get to the second game in a minute. There was a lot of runs scored yesterday in Major League Baseball. The Rangers 11-0 over the Padres. The Orioles 5-4 over the Nationals in 12 innings. Now the Orioles happen to be have the best record in baseball right now with that win. 22 wins and 10 losses. The Mariners beat the Phillies 10-9. The Indians shut out the Blue Jays 6-0. The Reds over the Yankees 5-3. Yankees are the second best record in baseball, and ironically enough, they're both in the same division. It's finally got to 500. They are now 16-16, and believe it or not, they're in second place in their division. They beat the Giants 6-1. The Cardinals over the Marlins 6-5. The Royals over the Rays in 12 innings 7-6. The Brewers beat the Red Sox 11-7. The Twins over the White Sox 7-2. The Astros beat the Braves 8-3. And in the second game, the Cubs got back at the Rockies 8-1. The Tigers beat the Diamondbacks 7-3. The Angels over the A's 7-3 as well. And over in 10 innings, it took the Dodgers to beat the Pirates 4-3 in that one. So that's what went on in some of the other sports, Sal. And I guess what we're going to do now is kick you to the curb. And
Wouldn't be my first time.
We'll have to come back to you. We're going to get Larry Hazzard on now, and then we're going to go to the Blast from the Past with Alex Pierpaoli. And then we'll come back to you for some emails and some other stuff. So I hope you got some extra time to go drink a couple of gallons of coffee, Sal.
I do. I'm going to be two-fisting it right here with your mug.
There you go. Yeah, that's one ugly mug you got there. But
easy.
and the coffee ones too. I'm talking about. But anyway, hey Sal, hang in there. We'll be talking to you in a little while. All right.
I look forward to it, Bill. Thank you.
All right, my man. Take care.
Take care.
Sal Rocky Senecola leaving us for a few minutes, but fear not, he'll be back. And speaking of being back, we're going to take a short break, and then we'll be back.
Billy C will be right back.
Are you currently on Medicare? In other words, do you carry the red, white, and blue Medicare card? If so, are you suffering from chronic back pain? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for a pain-relieving back brace covered by Medicare at little no cost, shipped directly to your home for free. These medical-grade back braces are ideal for low back pain, arthritis, spinal disorders, and other chronic back problems. Will you qualify for a medical-grade back brace?
Call Back Brace America at 1-800-290-8300. Endless pools are an incredible alternative to traditional pools, making it easy and inexpensive to swim at home. Exercise year-round against a smooth current set to your desired pace and temperature. With our new underwater treadmill, you can walk or run without stressing your joints. Endless pools are simple to install and even simpler to maintain. The water stays crystal clear with almost no chlorine. Call for your free idea kit and experience the freedom of swimming at home. Endless.
Tell me, Ken, how is it you rub my belly so fine with that secret rub of yours? Don't even tell me what you're gonna do next. I love you, Kenny Bear. Tell me, Kenny baby, do next.
Kenny Bear's Old Florida Barbecue Rub and Seasoning. Grab a bottle today.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts. Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you. I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're listening to the Billy C. Show. Glad you could be with us today. And we're certainly glad to be with you today. And joining us right now is Boxing Hall of Famer and New Jersey Boxing Commissioner, my man Larry Hazzard. What's up, Larry?
Hey, what's up, Billy?
Oh, not too much, my man. Not too much. Living the dream, you know. Living the dream, Larry. That's all I can say, you know. But bottom line is, what's your thoughts? Big, exciting fight. I know. I got an email from you telling me how much you love the Canelo Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. fight. What's your thoughts?
Man, that was the most disappointing boxing event or boxing bout that I've seen in many, many years. You're talking about a ripoff of the fans for $60, $70. That was the ripoff of the year thus far, because all we saw was a display of Canelo Alvarez in a gym workout, either with a sparring partner or a punching bag, whatever metaphor you'd like to apply to it. I was so disappointed, that I really felt like turning off the television and going to bed. But you know how you sit there and you watch a fight in disbelief, but as each round goes by, you're still waiting for something to happen. But it was just a total disappointment. All of the hype, all of the build-up about the great Mexican champions, the great Mexican fighters, and the great Mexican rivalries and wars, that really was an understatement going in. Nothing but hype and a great disappointment to the fans, I'm sure, and for the sport of boxing.
It was definitely a hype job, and I can't believe that. I mean, Oscar De La Hoya should get an Academy Award for keeping a straight face and saying, one of these guys won't be able to go back to Mexico and blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of talk about this fight possibly being fixed and all of this stuff, and I hate that because, truthfully, in a successful fix, only one side really knows about it. Otherwise, it becomes a choreographed event. And I really think that Canelo was showing that he wanted to mix it up. He was actually fighting the exact way I thought he would. But the difference was Chavez. I mean, Chavez all of a sudden thought he was a boxer. Why didn't he go in? It seemed like his biggest challenge was making weight. And I really feel for Papa Chavez because this guy was crushed. I mean, he was embarrassed. I mean, I don't know. Now there's rumor that Chavez wants to fight again and all this stuff. I don't think we should ever see him fight again. I think he showed that was a cash-out fight, and assuming that there was no shenanigans there, I mean, the guy just doesn't have it anymore. Maybe he never did. Like you had suggested in the past. I mean, what's your thoughts on the obvious disappointment with Papa Chavez?
Well, Billy, I got on board with you right at the end of the show last week, because as you know, and as you just said, I've said in the past, I never thought that much of Chavez from the beginning. I always thought that he was a pampered kid and all of that. I never saw that much in him as a fighter. But I kind of bought into what you said as the show was ending last week. And I says, well, hey, maybe this guy does have a chance, And, of course, I lost $5 to my lawyer, because I took Chavez, based on that premise. And it only proved, in a way, it proved me being right originally, that the guy has no real talent. He's just pampered. He was living off of the off of his father's reputation, and that was basically it. And I felt real bad for the father sitting there watching him, because he had to really feel a great sense of disappointment in his son. He's sitting there and he's wondering, what the hell is wrong with this guy? Why is he disgracing me this way? I mean, he didn't even show any willingness to fight. And then some of this crap that I've tried to make sense of him saying at the end about his strategy. And, of course, he supposedly had this great trainer, this Hall of Fame trainer, this Nacho Beristain or whatever his name is, in his corner with this so-called boxing strategy that he implemented. But then I heard Chavez, in a way, trying to put the blame back on the trainer by criticizing the strategy. But he was sort of talking out of both sides of his mouth in what I read somewhere, where he was saying that Alvarez would back up to the ropes and he wanted to box or some nonsense. But in my opinion, that's where his real fight was, having Alvarez on the ropes. But I noticed that the few times when Alvarez would back up to the ropes, it was almost in mock it was almost like he was mocking him. Okay, here I am now. This is where you supposedly want me to be. Come and get me. And he still wouldn't fight. So, it was just a disappointing performance. And as far as throwing the fight, some of these rumors and things like that, well, I can understand how the average fan might feel that way, because it was almost watching something in disbelief, because you couldn't believe that this guy was actually in there not performing at all. I mean, did he throw 100 fights? Did he throw 100 punches in the entire fight? I was kind of like trying to count those punches like these punch stats guys do, and I don't even know if this guy threw 15 to 20 punches around. He had a few little spurts there where Alvarez would back to the ropes and he'd come in and throw a few punches, and then he would back away. He would actually back away. So I can kind of feel for those fans who really are just fans, don't understand what throwing a fight is all about, but it would make you suspect to his motives in the way that he was fighting. But I really felt bad for Chavez Sr., because you could see the anguish that he was experiencing, sitting there watching this lackluster, for lack of a better term, that his son was turning in, and supposedly, the showdown for Mexico. So it was just a disappointing performance all around.
Well, first and foremost, him blaming Nacho for that was ridiculous. And my question to the game plan is, first of all, maybe he's starting to get a little senile, Nacho, to even think that Chavez would have outboxed Canelo. But at some point, any good, and I've always said this, Larry, and I know you agree with me, every good trainer has a plan B or can make an adjustment, from the corner. And that's something they did not do in this fight. They stuck to the game plan, like all of a sudden Canelo was going to stop throwing punches. I don't know what they were thinking. And then to hear some of the comments from Chavez when he said, well, if I got in too close and I threw too many punches, then he would counter me and hit me back. And I'm saying to myself, yeah, well, it seemed like he didn't want to get hit at all. Nobody does, but I think that the punches may have been bothering him, So I don't know. I'm at a loss for words myself, and I apologize for swaying you. I really thought that, if Chavez fought the way he has in the past, and Canelo was right there in front of him, Larry. He was right there. If he just went and let his hands go, maybe we see a different fight. But I think that he was a little nervous about getting hit, and I don't understand why. He really, the only time he was ever down was in a fight he didn't train for against Fonfara. He's taken some hellacious shots throughout his career. And, as good as I think Canelo is, he's not really a power puncher. He's an accumulation type guy. And I just thought that Chavez should have worked the body, and he didn't. And to suggest that he wants to fight again, I wouldn't let him fight on a Nintendo game or a Xbox. I wouldn't even let him come into a boxing ring as a spectator. His father's probably never going to talk to him again. What do you think?
Well, based on that performance, it's doubtful that he will come back. But hey, look, this is our sport. It's the way it is, and so I really wouldn't be totally surprised if I don't see him again.
Well, he's talking about challenging. I don't mean to cut you off, but Chavez is saying that he wants to fight Daniel Jacobs.
Oh, please.
Exactly. Exactly.
This is these pipe dreams now, and I guess the fans are now supposed to get, oh yeah, great. It'll be a great fight, sure. It'll be as great as his performance last week, and it'll be as great as some of the others that was supposed to be great. But just to touch on your point a bit about the great trainers, and I agree with you 100%. See, this was a perfect opportunity for the real great trainer if it was there to step up, because the great trainers, as you know, the Manuel Stewarts, the Angelo Dundees, the Eddie Futches, they know how to make the adjustments early on. You know, round 2 or 3. I could see in the third round where this fight was going, believe it or not. But it was still just disbelief that because I'm still waiting. I'm waiting. Okay, but after round 5 or 6, I knew it was in the bag. But you know, the trainer, I saw no real effort on the part of the corner. There was no real moment of anxiety, you know, where hey, look, let's get going. You know, I heard nothing from the trainer. I heard nothing at all. I heard no strategy. I heard no prompting from the corner. I heard nobody jumping in the ring telling this guy what the hell is going on here. You know, you understand what I'm saying? So it was just a lackluster, or for lack of a better term, because I don't know what you call it, on behalf of the fighter as well as the whole team there. And as far as him fighting again, I wouldn't care if I never saw this guy fight again, you know. And after that performance, you know, I would pick any of the top 10 fighters in that division to either knock him out. And that's the other thing that I wanted to say about Canelo. As much as we can credit Canelo for the win, you know, there's also a little shadow of a doubt there with a guy like this in front of you, Canelo, okay? A great fighter would have taken this guy out or made him quit, which Canelo did not do. So a little bit to Canelo's discredit, because I'm sitting there after round 6 or 7, and I'm saying, okay, I see what's going down here. Now I'm looking at Canelo. Knock this guy out or make him quit, which he couldn't do. Not that he wasn't trying. He was trying, but he couldn't do it. So that kind of makes me a little doubtful of Canelo to a degree, his punching ability, his ability to really, really get the job done, so to speak, as all of the great fighters of the past would have done. Could you imagine what a guy like this being in front of Marvin Hagler or Sugar Ray Leonard or Tommy Hearns or Roberto Duran, what they would have done to a Chavez on a night like that? Come on, Canelo. You're not even in class with the great fighters, in my opinion. Not yet.
Well, you know, I was saying this earlier in the week, and it seems like, you know, Chavez's victory here, Larry, was the fact that he made weight. I think that, you know, that was his fight. His fight was to come in and show everybody he could make the contracted weight, which he did. And the second part of this was for him to go the distance, which he did. You know, I don't think winning, based on his performance, and whether he was the only one thinking this or not, I don't think he was thinking about winning the fight. I think he was just there to show that he made weight, that he had a good training camp from that respect, and that he could go 12 rounds with Canelo. And then it brings me to the next question. You know, they bring Triple G, who said he wasn't going to be there because of the last time when we all got to hear Canelo say, us Mexicans don't F around, and we'll fight him right now. And when was that, 9-10 years ago? I don't know. But all of a sudden we see Triple G sitting ringside. And after the fight, what happens? We get the official announcement that this fight is already signed, sealed, and delivered for September 16th between Triple G and Canelo, which is a fight we all wanted and we all want to see. But, you know, I mean, if it was a real fight, the outcome should have at least been a tougher decision than what it was. How do you know you already got a fight in place? I mean, that seemed a little strange. Yeah. But what's your thoughts on the upcoming? I know we got plenty of time to talk about it, break it down, et cetera, et cetera. But number one, what's your thoughts on them announcing the official fight right after Canelo wins all 12 rounds against Chavez? And then what's your early thoughts on the fight between Canelo and Triple G?
Well, once again, it makes it all look suspect and choreographed, okay? Because I've heard some comments about that also. I mean, it just makes it all with the performance that he turned in, with all of the stuff that happened afterwards with Triple G. It all seemed to be choreographed and like it was already predetermined and all, So it just makes it even look worse. But to touch on your point again about Chavez's victory being in the fact that he made the weight. Well, we really don't know yet how he made the weight. You know what I'm saying? We don't know if he made the weight through training or through some other method. And if that's what it was all about, then what the hell is he fighting for? Because since when does fighting, or since when does it not be about winning? So if he came into that fight with any other motive other than winning, then he should really not even be in the game. So, we should all be hoping and wishing him farewell from the game, because that's what it's all about. So we don't really know how he made the weight, whether it was through training or through some other, means. And maybe that'll come out soon too. But as far as the fight with Canelo and Triple G, I think that it's going to be very interesting. I think that this is a fight that Triple G would welcome, based on the performance that we saw Saturday and based on Triple G's performances. I think that this is a fight that's going to be very, very interesting.
I know, and earlier in the week we were discussing the Chavez win. The Chavez loss to Canelo and the lackluster performance. And, I was trying to give Canelo credit, Larry, because, he did look good. But the argument that was thrown at me is, well, any fighter looks good when they're working a heavy bag, and that's pretty much what it was. But then when you take into consideration the last two performances by Triple G were definitely not his best, I think it's going to be a good fight. And to be honest with you, if you asked me who would have won this fight anytime up until, the last fight I saw Canelo in, I would have said without hesitation Triple G. Now I'm not so sure. I'm starting not only based on Canelo's performance against a heavy bag, but the other factors are, Triple G's last two performances, specifically against Daniel Jacobs. Daniel Jacobs was known and is known to have hand speed and a lot of power, but a questionable chin. He also came in a lot bigger than Triple G. I believe Canelo will come in bigger than Triple G. I think Triple G is a small middleweight. Everybody's always saying how big he is, but he's not. When you see him in there with middleweights, he's, he may be a little taller, but his body structure is not as big of a frame as Canelo. So, it could very well be that he's starting the downward slide of his career. Remember, he's no spring chicken. He might only have one or two good fights left. So maybe the strategy that Team Canelo employed with waiting and dragging it out, maybe that's going to prove to be a good decision, because Canelo is still in his prime. He's still in his 20s. So I don't know. I don't think that this is as much of a layup fight as I would have thought if you asked me this several months ago.
Well, you make a good point with Danny Jacobs, because I thought Jacobs beat him, okay, except for the knockdown. You make a good point, because I also think that Jacobs exposed some of the weaknesses, and so did Kell Brook. Expose some of his weaknesses. And I think that Canelo, even though he had a workout on a heavy bag, he did show some of the elements that Triple G does have trouble with. That's movement and the geography of the ring. As you go back to both of those fights that he had with Jacobs and Kell Brook. Okay, they gave him a lot of movement, they gave him a lot of angles, and he had difficulty. And that's the one thing that I saw in Canelo in this fight, and it came to mind. I says, well, this guy is showing a lot of nice movement, and he's showing how he can occupy the geography of the ring. And that, I think, it's going to be a problem. If there's going to be any problems for Triple G, that's going to be it. Punching power is less of a problem. But sometimes, the quantity of punches can make up for the quality of punches. So, it's going to be interesting. It's not going to be an easy task either way. But I think that it is going to make for some very interesting dynamics going forward when those two meet. I really think so.
I thought that Canelo displayed some improvement with his conditioning. There's no question. I mean, he did not fight in spurts. He had the gas pedal floored for all 12 rounds. He even demonstrated to people like me that he was able to stand between rounds and so on and so forth. But yes, he has movement, and he did display movement. But his weakness, which he still possesses, is the inability to land effective punches on the move. I mean, obviously that's not as easy, done as it is said. Very few fighters are able to land significant punches on the move, but the ones that do are great fighters. Sugar Ray Leonard, Sugar Ray Robinson, Floyd Mayweather. I mean, these are guys that are able to land punches that clearly score while they're moving, and they're becoming a difficult target. Canelo, he may move, but he doesn't land significant punches. I think that was evident against Chavez because he really didn't hurt Chavez on the move. He did more damage inside, which should have been Chavez's fight. So that kind of plays into Triple G, I would think. But Triple G gave Daniel Jacobs a lot of respect and didn't go in all out. And I'm going to be curious to see how he treats Canelo. I think if he makes that an inside fight, a phone booth fight, which Canelo a lot of times gets sucked into very easily, I think that favors Triple G because he can move, he can jab. And I think that that's the game plan that he should go in there with. But we got plenty of time to do that. I'm running out of time now. Quick question. Yuriorkis Gamboa, I loved him. He quits on his stool. Is it over for him?
Yeah, I think it's over. I think he sees the handwriting on the wall, and that's why he quit. He was very disappointed in himself, and I think he just felt that, hey, look, I've had my better days, and he's already coming back off a long layoff, and it just wasn't there. So I think it's over for him. I loved him too. I thought he was a very good fighter. But, he lost that time, Billy. And in this game, you got to stay busy. So, I think it's over for him.
I normally keep the sound off. I can't stand the commentating anymore. But I did happen to listen to what Teddy Atlas said, and I agree with him. Teddy Atlas said,
yes.
Here's a guy that nobody ever taught how to fight inside. And he was able to prove it, with the actions of Gamboa. And I agree, and it's a shame because he had such athletic ability, he had such hand speed and his accuracy, and it was obvious. There's fighters with weak chins, and then there's fighters that are getting caught and knocked off balance, which I think is the case with him because, he never seems hurt when he gets dropped, but he also goes in there like he's never fought inside in his life, and I think Teddy hit it on the head. What's your quick thoughts?
No, For Teddy, I always give Teddy a pass on. He talks a lot on the telecast, but Teddy pretty much knows what he is talking about. Okay, I got to give him that. And the guy, he made some very poignant statements in that telecast this past weekend. And I must say that, he kind of overshadowed Bernard, who really has been there. Okay, but Teddy was making the real poignant statements, as it related to Gamboa in that fight. So he hit the nail right on the head.
One last question, Larry. We talked about it last week, and most people I talked to, they're still buzzing about Anthony Joshua's win over Klitschko. And now the big topic is, when is Deontay Wilder going to fight, Anthony Joshua? The WBC just announced their whole lineup of fights, and, you got all these mandatories, et cetera, et cetera. Do you feel that we will see Anthony Joshua against Deontay Wilder in 2017, or do you think they're going to drag this one out until sometime next year?
That's a good question, Billy. But I think we might have a chance of seeing it this year. I really do. Because I believe it or not, I think Wilder does want to fight him.
No, I think he does too.
Yeah.
I think all these sanctioning bodies with the mandatories and the threatening of the stripping and then the management, Deontay, I think his team owes it to him to give him the fight because, if he wins, he's going to be the best, clearly. So all the chest pounding that he's been doing is all true. If he loses, it'll give him a chance to sit back and put in perspective what he really has accomplished and where he goes from here, whether he wants to continue or cash out or whatever. But I think it's in the best interest of Deontay Wilder to get the fight. If he truly wants it, and I'm like you, I believe that he does, I think it's time to make it happen.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it might happen this year.
Well, good. I hope you're right. I hope you're right more than I was last week with the fights. But, hey, Larry, I appreciate your time, and we'll be looking forward to you next week, brother.
Okay, Billy.
All right, take care, man. That's Larry Hazzard, Boxing Hall of Famer and New Jersey boxing commissioner, giving us his thoughts. And I hope Larry was right. I feel bad. I should send him the $5 he lost to his lawyer. Talking him into... thinking that Chavez was actually gonna fight, but that's not what happened. And what did happen was, we all saw what happened. It was not a pretty sight for boxing fans. But nonetheless, hey, listen, we're gonna take a short break, and when we come back, we're scheduled to have Alex Pierpaoli join us for this week's Blast from the Past. Miguel Canto is our Blast from the Past today. Another request. Don't forget, if you want to request a Blast from the Past, just drop me an email, Billy@TalkinBoxing. That's TalkinBoxing, So listen, we're going to take a short break. I'll be back in 2.
Billy C will be right back. Part of the Billy C Boxing Network.
Have you heard? Proactive Plus is faster and better than ever. Stay tuned for a $1 million bottle giveaway, and you'll also receive free shipping. Do you have troubled skin? Acne? Well, we have great news. With Proactive Plus, your acne can heal, and you can help prevent new breakouts from happening. Don't miss this limited time offer. Give us a call at 800-567-0214 because we're going to let 1 million people try Proactive Plus risk-free and get 2 free gifts and also receive free shipping when you call right now. You heard it. This offer won't last long. So call Proactive Plus now and you'll receive a 60-day risk-free trial of Proactive Plus, 2 free extras, and free shipping. Call 800-567-0214. This is our exclusive radio offer, never on TV. Get your risk-free 60-day trial of Proactive Plus with free shipping. That's right, free shipping. Don't wait. Call 800-567-0214. That's 800-567-0214.
Snacking has never been this exciting. At Graze.com, we combine wholesome ingredients with the flavors we all love to create over 100 exciting snacks. Like these. We'd love to send you a Graze sampler box for free. Just go to Graze.com, enter the code ENJOY36, and we'll mail your free box to your home or office. Join thousands of Grazers already in love with our exciting snacks. So come to Graze.com for your first box free.
This message is for all Americans that owe $10,000 or more in back taxes to the IRS. Look, I know you want to keep ignoring those letters, but the problem isn't going away. It's really stressful, and you don't know where to turn.
The good news is you have rights, and we can help resolve your IRS problems.
If you owe more than $10,000 in back taxes, Our qualified CPAs, tax negotiators, and support staff know the law and know how to get your situation under control legally and permanently.
Call the number on your screen now and we will contact the IRS on your behalf, help you end wage garnishments, stop collection calls, remove tax liens, get rid of IRS and state tax penalties, and reduce the amount you owe if you qualify. You wouldn't go to fix your car without going to a mechanic, so why face the IRS without an experienced company that can help you?
Let us take the stress of back taxes and the IRS off your shoulders so you can spend time on the important things in your life, like your family or your business. If you owe more than $10,000 in back taxes, call now and find out how we can help you.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts. Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you. I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're listening to the Billy C. Show. And it's that time again. It's one of our listeners' favorite segments, and we've been doing it for a long time. It's the Blast from the Past, and this week's Blast from the Past is being brought to us by the Title Bout Championship computer game. Get yourself a copy right now by visiting our website, www.billycboxing.com, and clicking on the Title Bout Championship computer game banner. It's right there on the right. And also, the show is the Blast from the Past, is being brought to us in part by KOFantasyBoxing.com. Check it out, www.KOFantasyBoxing.com. Now, this week's Blast from the Past features, it's another request, by the way, so don't forget, if you want to request a Blast from the Past, just drop me an email, billy@talkinboxing, TALKINBOXING.com. And it features a former world flyweight champion and Boxing Hall of Famer, Miguel Canto. And joining us right now to tell us all about Mr. Canto is Mr. Alex Pierpaoli. What's up, Alex?
Good morning, Billy C. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing okay, my man. I'm doing okay. Living the dream, like I was telling Larry, you know. But Miguel Canto, I was glad that he got requested. Interesting cat that a lot of people, I'm sure, have forgotten about. And this guy was the real deal. Unfortunately, he fought in that flyweight division, which a lot of times people don't pay attention to. But we've had some quality fighters in that division throughout the history of the sport.
Oh yeah, and I really think that as much as the heavyweights have always been the real most glamorous division and by far the most recognizable, they transcend the sport like no other. I think the real talent in terms of skill and the beauty of the art of the sport, the guys who have the technique down the best, are as you go down in weight. That's why people like welterweights, middleweights so much, because it's a balance of both of those things. Bantamweights, but flyweights, of course, some people don't, especially in this country, we're not big fans of guys that light. We don't tend to watch them. They don't become stars. And I have to say that unfortunately, this blast, I don't think does this guy justice. I just didn't find much info on him. A lot of times in the newspaper articles that I searched, at least, all it does is just have the results of fights that he had. No background at all, so I have very little on him. But there are clips of him on YouTube, and I'll post links to that on BillyCBoxing.com. But if you do watch him fight, those clips, I mean, YouTube's such a wonderful thing for a fight fan and a fight historian. But you do see some real artiste in the way he fights, man. I mean, he is fast. He is so elusive build. The upper body movement, it's incredible. The way he's able to move in and out of the pocket, just really an impressive boxer. And he sort of shattered the mold of the rough-hewn, aggressive, brawling Mexican fighter. A lot of times they referred to him as the Mexican Willie Pep.
Yeah, well, I mean, isn't his nickname El Mastro? Isn't that the master in English? So, I mean,
El Maestro, yeah.
Yeah, so and a guy who it's a shame that they didn't cover stuff. The flyweight division had a rich history early on. I mean, Jimmy Wild and of course Pancho Villa, but since Pancho Villa, you did get quality fighters like Miguel Canto. But the era in which he fought was so chock full of other talented fighters. I mean, late 70s, early 80s, he was overshadowed. But when you look at the nuts and bolts, Alex, I mean, the guy was a world flyweight champion. He successfully defended his title 14 times. I mean, that's just and it wasn't like he was seeking out the weakest opposition. The good thing about the lighter divisions like flyweight is that you really can't duck anybody because, you have no choice but to fight the right fights. And he certainly fought everybody available to him. 14 successful title defenses. I mean, that's pretty impressive, Alex.
Oh, absolutely. It's up there in terms of some of the most title defenses ever. That's why I think he is in the Hall of Fame. But one of the things that's interesting is that, and he's certainly not only is he a Mexican fighter, but he's from the Yucatan. So he has that distinction of being one of the greatest champions from that area of Mexico. Just the basics on him. I should say that, the Yucatan might ring a bell to all you geology and paleontology nerds out there because, of course, that is the place where the planet is known for taking one of its biggest punches. There's an enormous crater under much of the Yucatan Peninsula there where there was the asteroid impact 66 million years ago that wiped out the dinosaurs. But Miguel Canto, born January 30th, 1948 in Merida, Yucatan, Mexico. Miguel Canto Solis was just 5 feet and 1.5 inches tall and fought as a flyweight. The Yucatan is one of Mexico's 31 independent states and is also home of other world champions like Guti Espadas, Miguel Berchelt, Gilberto Kebas, and others, but none achieved similar glory. As another name they called him, Bill, was El Maestro Pequeño. Like I said, he was the Mexican Willie Pep, definitely a stylist. I really don't have anything in terms about his amateur career, but he was one of those guys like Bernard Hopkins, I think Glenn Johnson, who lost his pro debut. He lost by actually a third-round technical knockout. He was just 21, and he lost again, and then had a nice win streak for a while.
Yeah, I mean, him losing, two of the first 3 fights that he had, was amazing considering what he accomplished after that. 66 million years ago. I think Sal was an amateur then. I think Sal Rocky Senecola was starting. I think he started out as an amateur right around that asteroid, and the asteroids hurt, man, especially when you go to the bathroom. But anyway, Miguel Canto. I'm glad that we're doing him, and the reason is being this, a guy that makes as many successful world title defenses as he did, and then, actually finishes his career, drawing with the guy who basically dethroned him in Chan Hee Park in 1979. He lost a 15-round decision, and then immediately had a rematch 6 months later and fought to a 15-round draw. You would wonder why they didn't go for a trilogy there. And he also, I think the 14 title defenses were, he kind of set a record, Alex, because although he only got one knockout win of those 14 successful title defenses, he won the other 13 via a 15-round decision, which means no one else is going to be able to do that anymore because we don't fight 15-round fights. So there's something that should be in people's minds in terms of all-time achievements that will never be broken, because unless we go back to 15 rounds, it's impossible.
Yeah, I mean, I think that that's one of those things that, and you wonder, and it probably does bear out in the title bout championship boxing game results. But that is one of those things that you have to consider when you're comparing eras of Hall of Fame boxers, if they were active in the 15-round era or if they were active in the 12-round era. It's definitely something to consider. It's arguable, but there's no doubt about it. The 15 rounds is just so much more. I mean, think about that. We call the championship rounds today, it's 2 rounds. Today there was 1.5 times that. Or 2.5 times that? I don't know. I majored in English. But to think there was 5 championship rounds, and today there's only 2. That's a much very large difference, because I can't help but think that some recent fights, at least the way I think Andre Ward versus Sergey Kovalev, Andre Ward, I think, was on his way to winning that by stoppage if that had gone a little longer. I know that could start an argument with a lot of people, but there's a lot of fights. There was another one recently that I thought would have been, if there had gone another round, maybe it was Thurman, I forget. But you're right, 15-round fight. This guy has had 14 defenses. That was up there with, and I wish I got that stat, because if you think about it, there's only, when you're getting into that upper echelon of that many double-digit defenses, that's pretty serious.
You know, it's a shame that that there's not much stuff on him, because I do know that he's alive still. He's 69 years old, but I have no idea what he's doing. You know, I
don't mean to say there isn't material out there. It's just I don't speak Spanish. There's 2 clips on the YouTube of him. One is an interview with Goody Espadas. They're both talking about Merida and their hometown of Yucatan. And then the other one is just an interview with Canto. But the translation feature, I don't know, there's a way to change the subtitles to translate. Dude, I couldn't understand it because it's trying to translate, but it's like using your autocorrect on your phone.
So you were basically going, no mas, no mas, no mas.
No, yeah.
But he's 69 years old now.
The listeners that I don't have that, I can't give more info.
He's 69 years old now, and I would just be, a guy like him with his success, and especially his style, it would have been great to see him continue in the sport. Something that, a lot of guys don't do, which I feel we need.
Yeah, I wonder if he is involved in in the administration of the sport and managing or whatever. And maybe some of our Spanish-speaking listeners, I'll post the links to it. And if they want to shoot you an email if they watch it. Quite honestly, he looks pretty good. I'm a little surprised. He's never been up in Canastota that I can remember in the time I've been there. Because, and they're done those years where they have the night where it's like all Mexican night. So you'd think that they'd invite him.
Yeah, well, maybe he doesn't like the accommodations that Brophy puts up. I don't know. But,
maybe. It could be that he has been there and I just missed it. But I've been going since 2002, and I don't remember a time that he was there.
I don't either. And I've only missed a couple, which may be another one this year. But
oh, really? You're not going to go?
I don't know. But anyway, he was named Associated Press's Flyweight of the Century in 1999. He had the distinction of sharing that title with Pancho Villa, and I think it was justifiable. Until Chocolito came around. I mean, really, flyweights, since him, we had Carvajal, right? I mean, he was a flyweight, I believe. But I wish that we had some bigger names in the flyweight division today to dance with these guys like Chocolito and so on and so forth. But how did he fare in the title bout, my man?
Oh, he did pretty well. That was one of the things I did, like you were saying. If you look at his record, the thing that's pretty serious about it is that he fought some of the guys were some of the badasses of the era, and he fought them repeatedly. So had return victories, or he against Betulio Gonzalez of Venezuela. That was the first title shot that he lost. He then avenged himself upon him 2 more times, both by 15-round decisions. And then the other guy that he did win the title from, Shoji Oguma, the Japanese fighter, I think the Japanese southpaw, he beat him repeatedly. So, yeah, even though that was one of the things that's interesting about this is he doesn't, at least that I didn't find, another Hall of Famer on his record. He's in the Hall of Fame, but I didn't see that anyone he beat, and it could be that just flyweights don't seem to get in as often.
Well, the division, that was my point. The division during his era was weak, and that was the reason why he was fighting these guys over and over. They were the best that were there, and there was no ducking them, But the flyweight division wasn't as prominent as it was years earlier, and how it's starting to get back. I mean, we do have some quality fighters in the division today, but during Canto's time, not so much.
Well, isn't that kind of what they said too about Ricardo Lopez, who was another great, mini weight guy, Ricardo Finito Lopez. He had a few real defining fights, but because wasn't that one of his fights that had been stopped, the technical draw? I forget now against who that was, but like you said, he was dominant against who was there, but he didn't come around in an era when there was a lot of greats.
Yeah, Little Red Lopez, and he's not doing too great today, but he was in some wars, that's for sure. But how did Canto do in title bout?
Okay, I'm sorry. So in title bout championship boxing game, I put him in against a couple of the top guys in and around flyweight. I went flyweight and junior bantam because Chocolatito, of course, is moving up. Or at least has been fighting there now. But the first guy I put him in against was Kazuto Ioka. When they fought the first time, Canto won by unanimous decision. He put Ioka down in the 9th. The scores were 117, 112, 118, 110, and 119, 110. All Canto by unanimous decision. When they fight 100 times, Canto dominates. 86 victories. 6 defeats, 8 draws. He stopped Ioka 13 times, and in Ioka's 6 wins, he scored 4 knockouts. Then I put him in against Donnie Nietes. The first time they fight, Canto wins by 11th round TKO at 2 minutes and 9 seconds. They stopped the fight on cuts, which were caused by a punch in an earlier round. When they go 100 times, again, Canto dominates. 86 victories, 9 defeats, 5 draws, 6 KOs. And in his 9 wins, Nietes scored 3 KOs. And finally, I put him in against Chocolatito, Roman Gonzalez. The first time they fight, it's a majority decision victory for Canto. 2 scores of 115, 113, and another of 114 all. And when they fight 100 times, you get that same number of wins again. 86 victories for Miguel Canto, 6 defeats, 8 draws, 13 knockouts, which is strange. That's exactly the same results against Ioka. In his, And in his 6 victories, Chocolatito scored 4 KOs. So this is the first time I saw that where 2 results doubled.
Wow. You know, that's strange with the title bout because sometimes, like, for example, Chocolatito, he hasn't been stopped. You know, he's got 1 loss that's questionable, controversial, and yet he gets stopped more times than anyone else. Well, he tied Oquendo, but anyway, Miguel Canto, great job as usual, Alex, a former world flyweight champion. He had a career record of 61 wins, 15 by knockout. Only gave him a 20% knockout ratio. He did lose 9 times, in which he was stopped 5 times. He had 4 draws. He was inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame in 1998. And this guy fought 74 fights, 742 rounds. Miguel Canto, our blast from the past this week. Great job as usual, Alex. So just before we let you go, a couple of topics I wanted to ask you about. First and foremost, I know you watched the Chavez Canelo fight. I think you just woke up from that, but you know, now that we've had some time to digest the fight, number one, has your outlook changed? And number two, what's your early thoughts on a showdown between Canelo and Triple G?
I did watch the fight again. I suffered through it again because I was a little curious as to, you know, how good did Canelo look? Was it fixed? You know, was it a setup type thing? And why did Chavez hold back? I thought Canelo, like I said in the post-fight show, I thought Canelo looked very powerful in terms of his jab and some of his combinations. But I do think that he was holding back. I think probably because he didn't want to risk hurting himself, getting cut, breaking a hand or anything, because he's got the biggest payday of his life. He knew he had the biggest payday of his life coming up in a few months. That's the thing that I think is what maybe makes people, you know, they're a little bit of a stink around the fight, is that it does feel like it was sort of an infomercial, like somebody said in the chat room that night. But I do think we saw Canelo look good. I mean, Canelo handled a bigger man and shut him down completely. If you watch, to me, the 4th round was really, that's where he bloodies his nose. He really was just busting him in the face with that jab. I don't know, but I think that Chavez Jr. didn't have much. For him, and a lot of people have said this, the victory was making the weight and not being penalized that $1 million fee. Then it was like, you know, I got nothing to fight. And I think between being sort of sapped from the weight drain and then being out of his league in the sense that his best wins come over Brian Vera, and Canelo, you know, is, you know, I think, unfortunately, a lot of Canelo's victories come over guys faded, like the win over Mosley and stuff. So we still don't really know how good he is. But I do think that he certainly manhandled the bigger guy, but how much the bigger guy was weakened just by losing the weight, I think, is a question.
Yeah, no, I think his biggest victory was making the weight. One last question. Our topic today, Deontay Wilder facing the possibility of facing Anthony Joshua. Do you think it's going to happen this year, or are they going to drag that on, brother?
I don't know. I was mentioned in the chat room, I watched the Joshua Klitschko fight again last night. I think the sport really is on a high from that. It was just such a wonderful night. I hope that he fights I don't think it's going to be Wilder. Wilder is, if he goes right into Joshua, I think that would be a huge mistake. They're going to want to make that marinate a little. And I do think that Wilder just plain hasn't fought. I think he'd get his ass kicked in right now if he fought Joshua. I mean, Bill, remember the last fight? He's throwing punches like this. You know, imagine if Ali was active today, the nicknames he would come up with for Deontay Wilder. He has regressed. He needs to fight somebody incrementally better than who he's been facing before he faces Joshua, because right now he get crucified.
I agree. And you know what? To defend Deontay, it's not his fault. It's his team's fault for putting him in so weak. And he struggled with those guys. He struggled with some of the weak fighters he should have taken out quickly. But to pound your chest and say you're the best, to have people actually stick up for you and say you're the best, it's time for him to put up or shut up. He's got to fight Joshua. And I think the sport needs that fight now.
They did him a disservice by not giving him incremental challenges after the Stavern fight. They really did.
Well, the truth of the matter is fighters should get the progression before they're a title holder. Once they're a title holder, now they got to fight all the best, and that's not what happens today. And then when you read the whole list of next mandatories that are already being set up for him, I mean, he could hide behind the WBC and say, well, I want to fight Joshua, but he's ducking me. I got to fight this guy instead. I mean, that's the propaganda that happens with the sport. But I, for one, think that fight needs to be made this year. And we will find bigger and better fights for 2018 after the big fights are made now. You see, that's the other thing. The sport has a tendency to drag on the fights we want because they're acting like there are no other big fights. But after you get a big fight out of your way, it creates another big fight. So
Absolutely.
It's ridiculous that the fans today have been brainwashed. Alex, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Absolutely. I think you just make an excellent point. A lot of times big fights make additional big fights. I mean, look at right now. I wouldn't mind going right into a rematch of Klitschko Joshua. I think that both guys, of course, need to take a break because of just how bruising that was. But if that's the next fight we see, I got no problem with that. I'd watch them fight again. And then see Joshua versus Fury. Maybe that would be he'd be in shape. Or Joshua versus Wilder. After that, I got no problem with that. But to me, I think Wilder would be wise to fight like a Luis Ortiz. But that's not an easy win for him.
No, Ortiz is dangerous for any of them. Listen, as far as Klitschko, unless Klitschko fights a guy like Wilder or a rematch with Tyson Fury, that makes the most sense to me. And then the winner face Joshua. To have a rematch right now, Klitschko-Joshua, although I agree with you that it would be an entertaining fight, and I wouldn't say I don't want to see it, I just feel that because Anthony Joshua won by knockout, it's a lot different than if that fight went to the scorecards and some people felt that the cards weren't accurate, et cetera, that sets the groundwork for a rematch. In this fight, not only did Anthony Joshua win, I mean, yeah, you could say, the fight was stopped. They were trying to say that the fight was stopped too soon. I don't think so. Klitschko didn't argue, and he would have been dropped again. That would have been the third time in that round. The fight would have been stopped anyway. So, no, Anthony Joshua won that fight. He won it decisively. Now it's up to Klitschko to maybe regain something, beat another top guy, and then cash in on the rematch with Joshua. But that's just my opinion. Either way, I think the Deontay Wilder-Anthony Joshua fight needs to happen sooner than later.
That would be great to see. I would love to see Joshua Wilder, but no, I think that if anything, that's what because it looked like for briefly there that Klitschko in 2 rounds, it looked as though Klitschko was 2 punches away from winning the fight. And I think just considering that was the best we've ever seen him, he certainly, to me, earned the rematch. I think there is a rematch clause too. So if he wants to exercise it, I don't have any doubt they'd get 90,000 people again. I don't know. That was just such a great night for boxing. I love the moment at the end when he's talking to the crowd and he acknowledges the Evander and Lennox and Roy Jones, and he talks about how he even used to sing Roy songs. So it really does. It was just such a wonderful night for boxing. If we return to that again and even recaptured a fraction of that, and Joshua blows him out early, I'd have no problem with that.
Alex, great job as usual, and we'll look forward to you next week, my man.
All right, Billy C. Take care.
That's Alex Pierpaoli giving us our blast from the past. Hey, I'm going to take a short break. When I come back, We're going to dig up the 66 million-year-old man, Sal Rocky Senecola.
Billy C will be right back. Part of the Billy C Boxing Network.
Endless pools are an incredible alternative to traditional pools, making it easy and inexpensive to swim at home. Exercise year-round against a smooth current set to your desired pace and temperature. With our new underwater treadmill, you can walk or run without stressing your joints. Endless pools are simple to install and even simpler to maintain. The water stays crystal clear with almost no chlorine. Call for your free idea kit and experience the freedom of swimming at home.
Snacking has never been this exciting. At Graze.com, we combine wholesome ingredients with the flavors we all love to create over 100 exciting snacks. Like these. We'd love to send you a Graze sampler box for free. Just go to Graze.com, enter the code ENJOY36, and we'll mail your free box to your home or office. Join thousands of Grazers already in love with our exciting snacks. So come to Graze.com for your first box free.
Are you currently on Medicare? In other words, do you carry the red, white, and blue Medicare card? If so, are you suffering from chronic back pain? If you answered yes, you may be eligible for a pain-relieving back brace covered by Medicare at little to no cost, shipped directly to your home for free. These medical-grade back braces are ideal for lower back pain, arthritis, spinal disorders, and other chronic back problems. Will you qualify for a medical-grade back brace?
Call Back Brace America at 1-800-290-8300.
Tell me, Kenny, how is it you rub my belly so fine with that secret rub of yours? And don't even tell me what you're gonna do next. I love you, Kenny Bear. Tell me, Kenny baby, what you gonna do next?
Kenny Bear's Old Florida Barbecue Rub and Seasoning. Grab a bottle today.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts. Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you. I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning. Now back to Billy C. Interact with the show at BillyCBoxing.com.
And we're back. You're listening to the Billy C. Show. Glad you could be with us. And speaking about being with us, joining me right now is the guy who apparently was at the place that Alex Pierpaoli was just telling us about. 66 million years ago, he was starting his amateur career, Sal Rocky Senecola. How was that? What was it like when that asteroid hit?
What do you think they call me Rocky for?
There you go.
Hey, listen to me. I'm celebrating my 66th and first birthday. 66 and 1,000,001.
There you go.
Coming up soon.
Oh, geez, it must have been tough.
I heard that.
I heard you had Geico insurance. Weren't they the ones with the cavemen? I don't know. Oh, wait, that's not politically correct. For all you cavemen out there, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to offend anyone.
I marked it with my ex.
There you go. But we got an email to read, Sal, and this one's from my man Jesse. And I seem to have misplaced. I had a couple other ones. I can't seem to find them right now. But this one's from Jesse. And he says, hey, Billy C., I read that Diaz Jr. will face Regis Progress, and this fight should be very good. Mikey Garcia sparred with Diaz Jr., and he mentioned that he hits very hard. So right now, who would you favor? I like Diaz Jr. I think Progress is... hasn't had enough progress, to tell you the truth. I think that he's been coddled, and I would favor Diaz Jr. If that fight does take place. He says, what's your thoughts on Sahib the Golden Tajak Yuzarov? Well, my first thought, Sal, is I can't pronounce the guy's name, but what he is he's a Russian. I think he's a Russian. I know he resides in Russia now. He's undefeated. 22-0 with 8 knockouts. He's 33 years old. He is a southpaw, but here's the thing: when you look at his resume, he hasn't fought anyone of note. No one in his whole career. He did start his career in 2006, but from 2013, he didn't fight again until September. From May of 2013, he didn't fight again until September of 2016. He's 33 years old now. I'm not so sure he's going to make any kind of an impact. Maybe I'm wrong, but in those low weights, at 33 years old, I mean, the only thing you could say, he doesn't have a lot of mileage on him, but he also doesn't seem to have a lot of pop. But I'm not that crazy on him, to be honest with you. Jesse, he says, what's your thoughts on Kai Yafi? He's 21-0 with 14 knockouts. He's defending against Japan's Suguru Murinaka, who's 25-2-1. I like Yafi. I think he's the real deal. Murinaka is ranked number 22 with the record you just mentioned, Jesse, 25-2-1. But he's faced mostly unknown opposition. As far as Yafi, the computer sees him at number 5, and he's faced much better opposition, including his last couple of fights. So, I like Yafi. I think that he's the real deal. Finally, he says, I read that Felix Verdejo said his next fight's going to be against Terry Flanagan. They are waiting on the date and place. I think it's too early for him to take on Flanagan. He should. His last opponent hurt him pretty bad. He should fight guys like Castellanos, Bay, Ray Beltran, or Comney. How do you see the situation? Terry Flanagan. I like Terry Flanagan, Sal, but he's not exactly a power puncher. I mean. You know what? It is what it is. I mean, it's time to make the fights. Like I just said to Alex before, there's no sense saving a fight that you think needs to be marinated, because other fights will happen after the big fights. You create, as soon as a big fight is a big fight, make it happen. Then another big fight will fall in its place. What's your thoughts on that?
I think that's the perfect theory right there, because you know what? They will materialize. It's just a matter when push comes to shove, and make the big ones now while it's hot on the iron, and then guess what? The other ones will materialize. They'll have to happen. They'll rise to the top. Good point.
I mean, there's no reason to keep waiting. I mean, what you end up getting is inferior fighters, and what I mean by that is you could have the same two top quality fighters fighting the fight, but they become inferior because they've gotten older, they've lost a step, et cetera, et cetera. So at the end of the day, even though the playing field is somewhat even because both fighters age the same amount, the fans are getting ripped off. And that was certainly the case with the Mayweather-Pacquiao fight, Sal. I mean, everybody's always talking about, Mayweather let Pacquiao get older. But the truth of the matter is Mayweather's older than Pacquiao. It wasn't like he was in a time machine where he didn't age. But they both aged. So we didn't get both fighters at their best when we wanted that fight. I don't know.
No.
I don't know. What do you think?
I think you're right. I think you're right on. I know it's 5 years too late as it was. And, we started talking about it early on. And that's when the heat should have made the fight happen, but it didn't.
Deontay Wilder, we were talking about that earlier. Do you think the fight's going to happen this year or next year? And, with all these other fights lined up, and then the sanctioning bodies with their claws into the fighters, and, this one wants to fight that one, this one has to fight that one. I mean, Alex made a good point a few minutes ago. He said, and Larry Hazzard said the same thing. They said they both feel that Deontay truly wants to fight.
Yes.
And as a fighter and a guy that, has believed his press clippings and has believed all the whispers in his ears that he's so good and has pounded his chest, like I say all the time, I think it's time to give him the fight. Anthony Joshua, you can make the argument that he's got to fight an IBF mandatory. He's got to wait for Klitschko to make his decision. He's got to do this. He's got to do that. But the truth of the matter is that's the fight that boxing needs. It needs a continuation of a great performance by both Klitschko and Anthony Joshua a few weeks ago. As goes the heavyweight division, so goes boxing. We all said it. We got treated to 90,000 live people screaming and having a great time. A great fight, a historical fight. we got to keep the momentum going. And the next logical fight is Anthony Joshua against Deontay Wilder. What does Rocky think?
That's the most logical. That's the most logical. But then again, we're in a illogical scenario with boxing sometimes, and there's the greed and the need for other things to happen. But that is the most logical fight, and I think it should progress along that path, and we should see that fight by the end of this year. That's exactly what I think.
Well, a fight like Shannon Briggs against Fred Oquendo combined, they've been out of the ring 4 years, and they're fighting
Forget
for a world
about it.
title. I mean, that's
I have
ridiculous.
no interest, Bill. No interest. I'm sorry.
I mean, Shannon Briggs has worked himself into a cartoon character. I mean, this is a guy that, let's go champ, let's go champ, let's go champ. I mean, he's a joke. And truthfully, he hasn't fought anybody remotely close to a top 10 fighter, and yet he's earned, so to speak, the spot. And Fred Oquendo, I think it's just payback because they screwed him so much in some other fights. But nonetheless, the guy hasn't fought in 3 years. Talk about ring rust. I mean, how do you even gauge? If a guy hasn't fought in 3 years like Oquendo, and Shannon Briggs hasn't fought in a real fight in I don't know how many years, and they're both fighting for a world title. I mean, that to me, that fight in itself, plus the recent fight between Kajanu and Joseph Parker, and then the rumor that Parker's going to fight Huey Fury anyway again. I mean, that screams that we need Anthony Joshua against Deontay Wilder even more. What do you think?
I think you're right on. You hit it right on the head. Let these fighters that want to fight each other and be the best and show the world they're the best, let this happen, and let the powers let this happen. And I think you're right. We got some great scenarios there, but I think the number one thing that'll let everything else settle, and then other fights will be made, as you were referring to earlier. Make the big fight now, and then other things will happen and step in line next. So I think they definitely should fight before the end of this year. I'd like to see that fight in the fall.
I mean, to suggest to boxing fans that, the only big fight is so-and-so against so-and-so, no, let's marinate, let's wait. No. It's not. If Canelo, for argument's sake, if Canelo fought Triple G two years ago, somebody else would have emerged into the next great fight, and like you always referred to round robins where fighters fight each other and then the next guy and then earn a shot again. I mean, that's something that's almost extinct in this sport, and it's a shame. It's a shame, and we got the fights now to be made. We got the fighters now to be made. Let's not marinate. The money will be there. There'll be other opportunities. After all, it is a trade, whether people look at it or not. You got to earn your shots. And for all the, I just find that the way it works, if you're a young guy working your butt off in the gym, what's the incentive if you're not with the right people, or you're not in the right spot or so on? You may never get a shot. I mean, what's the incentive to stay in the sport?
Well, you said that too right there. And, the incentive for every fighter entering the ring should be to get a title fight and to become a champion. But, that's not realistic for everybody. But the bottom line is that should be the incentive. And then to leverage themselves and to do the best they can to evolve into a world-class fighter. That's the incentive right there. And look at some purses. Bill, I'll tell you, I say it over and over again. I would love to see boxing return to 15 rounds for a title fight, for a championship, because as Alex and you guys were talking earlier, man, that's the championship rounds, the 13th, 14th, and 15th round. Now all of a sudden we're facing championship rounds 11th and 12th.
Hey, if they keep going this rate, they're going to say the championship rounds are 3 and 4.
3 and 4, forget about it. One more thing, Bill. I said it often, and I would love. I wish somebody would have the gullions enough to say now, remember, this is prize fighting. This is championship boxing. This is what we enter for. Let the winner of the fight get the biggest prize.
I agree.
These world titles fights should be maybe a 70-30 split, 60-40 split. The winner of the fight should have the incentive. You want to talk about incentive? The winner of the championship fight should get the larger purse,
100%.
Not predetermined.
100%. It shouldn't be predetermined, and that should be the incentive. You win the fight, you make more money. The fight Triple G and Canelo coming up, guarantee Canelo's going to make more money. The fight coming up, the rematch between Ward and Kovalev, guarantee Ward's going to make more money. He made more money in the first fight. So it's all BS. But anyway, coming up tomorrow, we are scheduled to have Mauricio Suleiman join us from the WBC. So we'll get some of his thoughts on some things, and I promise I'll be nice. We may even have a chance to open up the phone lines. We are not doing a live show on Friday. So tomorrow will be our last show for the week, but we will return on Monday. And speaking of which, I have the trivia question, Sal, and it's still the same one. I got the Crybabies. I won't mention his name, but his initial, crying about bringing back the trivia question, and we did, and so far, he's fallen flat on this one. So I'm going to give you guys a hint today. The question is, which former world champion lost the most title fights? Which former world champion lost the most title fights? And my first hint is that this guy fought in those title fights that he did fight. He fought, let me see, he fought one of his opponents 2 times. So he fought one of his opponents 2 times in this whole scenario. So of the fights that he lost, his title fights, he fought the same guy twice, which counts as separate title defenses. So there's a hint for you. If you can be the first one to email me the correct answer, Billy@TalkinBoxing, that's TalkinBoxing.com with the correct answer, you'll win the prize. But first, Sal, now that I'm able to give you a hint that he fought the same guy twice out of all of these fights, do you have an answer on which former world champion lost the most fights? Do you have an answer on this one, brother?
No, is it a contemporary? Would it be Leon Spinks? My canned answer is going to be Jack Dempsey, but that's not going to happen again. Forget about it.
So your answer is Jack Dempsey?
Yes, my answer is Jack Dempsey. I'm going with that.
No, it's not Jack Dempsey. So Sal failed to help you guys out. So again, the hint is he fought one of these guys twice among the title fights that he lost. So which former world champion lost the most title fights? If you're the first one to email me, Billy@TalkinBoxing, TalkinBoxing.com, you'll win the prize, which is your very own copy of the Title Bout Championship computer game. Listen, don't forget to tune in tomorrow morning. And we will have, like I said, we're scheduled to have Mauricio Suleiman joining us from the WBC and a bunch of other stuff. So before we go, I'm going to leave you with this. Make sure you tune in tomorrow morning. Same bat time, same bat channel. Until then, ciao, baby.